Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very special. It is the Juan Epstein podcast series premiere, and this is one that fell into our lap, and I said, this is the best season premiere ever. We have Ice Cube in the building.
Yeah.
Cube, I've never gotten to meet you in person. Mm-hmm. You are one of the most important our culture has ever had.
Appreciate that.
Come on, man. I don't even know where to begin with Ice Cube.
Begin.
We were saying...
Our Juan Epstein podcast is we delve into, like, detail, like, of our favorite artists and coming up and, like, early day stuff.
But we were saying, I don't know if
not the typical questions you get.
I don't know if I want to focus as much on NWA, though, because...
No, we know NWA.
Yeah, that's documented more. There's a lot of documentaries, a lot of interviews about NWA. But the Cube story immediately post NWA, which for us, for a lot of the fans, is the most interesting time, is where I'd like to start. Where did you link up?
No, before that.
You want to start before that?
Like, what did you do the next day when you woke up and was like, damn, I just quit NWA? Like, what did you do that day?
I mean, that day I was probably...
Did you cry at all in bed?
Hell no. You know, I had my mind made up, you know what I mean? And nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. So, you know, I knew what I was going to do. That actually, after I decided to lead a group, you know, I ended up calling Dre to see if he wanted to work on my solo record. He was with it. You know what I mean? He wanted to work on my solo record because me and Dre was cool once, you know, right after the breakup, because he kind of knew what was going on. You know what I mean? So he probably didn't even think it was really going to actually split like that.
Right.
So he was down to work on the record, and you know, we was talking for about a week trying to make sure that's gonna happen. And then we heard that Jerry Heller and Eazy-E vetoed that. You know what I mean? So that's when I got on the phone with Chuck D. But I was just getting on the phone hollering at him about, you know, just the situation and trying to get his advice, you know what I mean, on the situation. And he was like, yo, man, look like you're going to have to do your own thing. We never talked about doing a record together. You know, we never talked about, you know, maybe the Bomb Squad is going to produce this. None of that.
Really?
You know?
Just giving you some advice.
Just giving me some advice. So I had to go talk to Priority, Brian Turner over there, and he was like, yo, you know, if you don't want to be down with NWA, no problem. You know, we want to sign you solo. We do want you to do an album, this, that, and the other. Right. So that kind of reassured all that part.
Okay. You know what? So how old then? 20 years old?
About how old? About 20? 20. Yeah,
wait.
20.
So real quick, if you go relationship by relationship in the group, was your only problem really deep with Eazy, or was it other people? Were you good with Ren?
Jerry Heller.
It was just
wasn't
Jerry.
Even Eazy. You know, I felt Eazy didn't know the business enough. You know, this is how I felt, because I remember him coming into it. He came in, you know, kind of wide-eyed. What do we do? You know, I'm ready to do this, you know. So I felt like he wasn't savvy enough to pull this without Jerry Heller's, you know, coaxing and you know, showing him how to make it happen the way Jerry wanted it to happen. So I was just mad at that dude because he wouldn't give me my contract. You know, I just wanted, yo, let me see it. Let me take it to my people. You know, the normal stuff you do when you get a contract.
Of course. And
he was like, I don't know, you know, I can't give it to you. You can sign it, but I can't give it to you. So that was shady. And so I had a problem with him.
But you're good with the members.
I was good with everybody. A little mad at E because I felt E wasn't taking the right side. You know, I felt E.
He was kind of under his.
Doing enough to keep me in the group. You know, it was kind of like, yo, this is how it is. Yo, you can live with it, or you can get out the group like Arabian Prince, you know, who was the sixth member on the damn album cover.
Miss
if you
him,
see
man.
us, you miss Arabian, don't
That's
you?
Arabian Prince, man. He was my favorite.
He was my favorite. Who's your favorite member of NWA? I go, Arabian Prince.
Yeah. So, you know, no more panic zones for you guys. You know what I mean? Anyway, you know, he had left, and basically he was like, yo, you know, you can go out and be a flop like Arabian Prince. You know, that was his exact quotes, you know, and I was like, damn, that ain't going to happen, bruh. You know, so then that's kind of when that went sour. But me and Ren was tight, me and Yella, me and Dre. But then the months and months away from the group, you know, I guess they
had to still keep working, and then they were like, well, he's gone, Cube is gone, we got to keep this ship going.
Oh, I expected them to keep going. You know, I just didn't expect them to diss because it was no beef like that. It was just basically business.
I wonder if it's because time goes on and people keep asking you about Cube, and people are in your ear, and then all of a sudden it becomes nastier. But then you were ready to handle shit on your own.
I mean, if you listen to America's Most Wanted, it's
Many
no
times.
dissing. It's no. I don't diss NWA. Don't mention
not at all.
NWA. Eazy-E. It's no dissing. And that record was the next record to come out after Straight Outta Compton. And then they had the diss with 100 Miles and Running. I came back with Jacket for Beats with a little diss at the end.
There you go.
And then it just started to escalate.
Here we go. Here we go.
So does at some point does Chuck D say you need to come out here and we need to get together? How does it end up turning into work?
No, here's what happened. So I was talking to all the people up at Def Jam. Was real cool with them, and they was like basically come on out here, because I wanted to work with Sam Sever, because at the time, Third Base was. They beats was banging.
Fracking.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, I need to find this Sam Sever dude because, he's hot right now. So when I get to Def Jam, I'm meeting with Lior, talking to him. I'm like, I got a meeting with Sam Sever. I flew all the way out here. Where the hell is Sam Sever at? You know what I'm saying? So dude didn't show up. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I'm walking through the halls. Who do I see coming down the hall? Chuck D.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Flavor Flav.
Nah.
I wish it was Flavor. Okay,
It was
good.
Chuck D. Chuck D come down the hall. He like, yo, Q, what you doing out here, yo? And I'm telling him, I'm waiting for Sam Sever, boom, boom, boom. He's like, yo, we at Green Street Studio tonight. I'm doing a record with Big Daddy Kane called Burn Hollywood Burn. You want to jump on there? That'll let everybody know you about to come out solo. And I'm like, what? Please, what time? You know what I mean? I'm there. So when I get there, we drop the record. We do my verse, we do the record. Hank Shockley walks in. Keith Shockley's there. Eric Vietnam Sadler's there. You know what I mean? The whole bomb squad is there. So I'm telling them the story. So I tell them, I was like, yeah, I told everybody I was coming out here to get my record produced in New York. And everybody in L.A. laughed at me. Like, they ain't going to do your record. So Hank was like, they laughed? I was like, yeah, they laughed. He was like, man, we'll do your whole record. Damn. I was like, word, damn. Okay, no problem.
And you instantly thought that was a good idea.
Totally.
Like just from fucking with Public Enemy.
Please. Public Enemy was the masters of producing. You know what I mean? Dre's a genius, but these dudes are mad scientists. You know what I mean? When it came to sampling, putting it together, making it sound totally unique, and not a sample, not a loop. None of their stuff sound like basic loops. So, to me, they was better than Sam Sever, who I was looking for, but I just never fathomed that they would produce my record.
And not the whole album, too.
Not the whole album.
And we didn't know it at the time. Of course, we figured out after America's Most Wanted, but your style and PE and the Bomb Squad style in some way is connected. There was that anger at the time, that passion that connected it musically.
Yeah, no doubt. They was the forefronts in talking about what was going on. We had a different version of what was going on. It was more, theirs was more political. Yeah. Ours was more street. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then that's when I started thinking of, I had the street knowledge concept in my head already, because the NWA record starts off, you're now about to witness the strength of street knowledge. So I had that concept in my head of trying to match the streets with the political tone and trying to tell the streets what the politics are doing to them, and then try to tell the politics what the street think about them if they listening. So that was kind of my formula going into the record, and that's kind of the maturation of what I became as a solo artist.
Yeah. You stayed out here when you were recording?
Yeah,
all in New York?
Stayed out here. New York. We was in Long Island at first. At
2012.
No, it was 510 Franklin.
510, yeah.
510 Franklin.
There.
I mean,
Really?
leaders of the new school would come by. Buster, he saw me producing America's Most Wanted. They would come through and hang, and I was hanging out there with EPMD, Redman. They showed me a lot of love out there. We just had a ball out in Long Island pre-producing the record. Right. And then we came to Manhattan and Green Street and did the album right in Green Street.
Was it exciting for you? Because as a rap fan, most of the good hip hop was happening here. Most. So as just a fan, was it dope for you to just get to be here and see that you get love from all these East Coast cats?
And it was dope. It was, a dream come true to just get love. I mean, Stetsasonics was hot back then, and getting love from people. I mean, X-Clan was just coming out, so we was getting a chance to kind of vibe with what they was doing, and it was just all the hip hop was out here. I ran into KRS out here. It was just everybody coming up, showing love for what we had done, and it was like, yo, good luck on your solo thing. I hope it all work out. So
back then, rappers used to just walk in the streets everywhere.
That's what it felt like. That's what it feels like from stories.
It felt like New York was 4 blocks big, and every rappers was just on every block at all times.
Hey, it's like every rapper would dump into Manhattan on Friday, Saturday
right?
night, and so. You see everybody everywhere, you know what I mean?
You go to clubs and stuff?
Yeah, all clubs, hitting everything, man. And were you just having a ball.
Were you already how well off financially were you already by the time you started working on your solo? Were you good?
I had an advancement. No, I wasn't
but
good.
It wasn't like NWA money was.
No. I had still not gotten any NWA money.
What did you have any NWA money? Was there show money?
Yeah, show money. I got a little show money.
How did you get paid in? Was it like salary or?
Yeah,
try to give you like some,
per show kind of deal. You know what I mean?
So where were you staying?
I was staying at my mom's house.
No, here.
Oh, out here it was some building out. No. We ended up getting an apartment out here. Renting out some spot.
Oh,
yeah.
Did cats look at you funny when you went back to LA after you just worked on a East Coast project? Was everyone with it?
Nah. They was swanging. They heard I worked with the Bomb Squad, and I had a record coming out with Chuck D, Public Enemy, Flav was on it. You know what I mean? They was open.
Is that is America's Most your favorite moment of your solo career?
In a lot of ways, I done had a lot of great moments. That's a great moment because my back was against the wall. It was the first time, besides Ice-T, who had worked with Africa Islam and Zulu Nation and stuff, it was really the first time a whole album was getting produced. A L.A. rapper was really getting produced by a New York production team. And to me, it was the perfect marriage. You know what I mean? It was the perfect record to at that time bring everything together instead of making it look so separate, or even making it solidified what we was doing on the West, that it wasn't a fluke in a way, you know what I mean, that we was coming with a real movement that was going get everybody's attention, so it was dope. You
did it. Congrats.
Yeah.
I was a little bit young to understand the whole picture of what was happening at the time.
Yeah, I didn't.
I remember the sound. I remember digging it. I didn't know though. Like, were cats already very early on in NWA saying this is the heart and soul lyrically of the group? Like, was it known early on, or because Easy was popular? Was it like how did people realize that before America's Most Wanted, or did it take America's Most for people to be like, this dude?
Oh, he was the one.
This is the dude.
I mean, I don't know what. At what time did they say this is the dude? Because I left the group when we was still just, everybody was new, basically, except Easy. He had been established. So I don't really know when that moment came. I guess the moment showed more glaring when I left about, what I contributed to the group.
Right.
If you listen to the material before I left to what they did after I left, you can kind of see, what was Cube sprinkling that.
Right.
But for the most part, I was, I wrote a lot of the rhymes, Boys in the Hood, Dope Man, Gangsta.
You wrote the whole song, or were you and Easy writing together?
Whole song.
You wrote it, he wasn't there, you wrote it, and then you brought it to him.
Yes.